Hi guys, best regards from Ingolstadt. I have heard that you entered the Kamel GT Championship this year in the good old GTO car, so I wish you best of luck and a lot of success.
Best greetings to all drivers from the Audi GTO 90 Championship. Good success.
Both championships have been decided. The series now arrives at one of the smallest, tightest tracks on the schedule. With nothing on the line other than the pride of a win or a good result, will caution be thrown out the window? Summit Points tends to put on a wild one, so it honestly might be a bit hard to tell. Regardless, it should be a fun one to watch as we get ready to watch round 12 of the iRacing Kamel GT series, and you'll see it all live here on the global SimRacing channel. Hi, I'm Joe Peak, and with me in the booth is Adam Lindgren. Behind the scenes is our director, Sean Crackers Ambrose, and he's using cameras provided by Dougie Beard. Summit Point may not have hosted the GTP class back in '89 when these cars ran, but the GTOs definitely did compete here. As hard as it is to believe, maybe it's best if we hop on board our track guide to show what it's like trying to pick your way around this place in one of these beasts.
All right, we've got Clayton McLeod in the GSRC Nissan, so let's do a lap around Summit Point. Turn 1 will easily be your best chance for a pass, but this is a narrow circuit, and if you run into traffic at the wrong time, things could go bad in a hurry. As the track opens up coming out of the corner, be careful with the throttle since the turbo lag can quickly send you swapping ends. Turn 3 is high commitment, off camber, and blind. That gravel trap on the outside is going to deposit lots of gunk as cars go wide all day. 4 will bleed directly into 5, and that makes passing a very hairy proposition. Things go wrong so often here, it's sometimes called yard sale corner unofficially. That takes us to the technical second half of the track, where you're mostly getting little squirts of the gas before having to slow again. Patience and a gentle right foot will pay off through here. As the track weaves back and forth, ideally you want to set yourself up for a wide angle into 9. Get on the power as soon as it's safe and take a short breather. Turn 10 can sometimes give you a look at an overtake, but you've got to get a phenomenal run on the car in front. This medium speed bend rounds out the lap, but as we come to the line, we've now finished a lap around Summit Point.
Well, iRacers are probably extremely familiar with this track, with it being some of the base content you get here on iRacing as soon as you sign up. But Adam, our viewers who, unless they're very much racing nerds here in the States, probably haven't heard of this place. So why don't you tell us a little bit about Summit Point?
Yeah, no problem, Joe. Stealthily one of the most challenging tracks on the service, the Summit Point Motorsports Park's main circuit takes its challenging from its complete lack of runoff and extremely narrow track surface. This barely 2-lane race course is a paltry 2 miles or 3.22 kilometers long with only 10 turns, but these sweeping beauties offer no room on the outsides of the entry to set up for a speedy center of the corner. Both cars will struggle today. The Nissan will struggle to keep the rear end underneath it as the drivers ask a lot from the downforce to keep them on apex for such a long time around these narrow corners. While the Audis will be disturbingly slow comparatively, wrestling with the faded Audi understeer as the four-wheel drive, mixed with mostly medium-speed corners, threaten to push the car off the track. Don't even get me started on multi-class here. It really shouldn't be a thing. With only 2 lanes and both classes needing both lanes to take them well, there will be a lot of coming togethers today and a lot more stressful moments. But it wouldn't be Kamel if there wasn't a seemingly impossible multi-class challenge to conquer, now would it, Joe?
Yeah, these guys like a challenge around here, so it's no surprise that they chose this on their schedule as they have many seasons before. I mentioned that the championship is over, but that's just for the top spot. Let's take a look at the prototypes first and see where they sit. Fabian Gerber wrapped it up at Road Atlanta. Nick Bucanos and Laust Olsen looking at a potential second in the championship. Hopefully he'll be able to hop in there and be able to get in and maybe challenge Mukanos. Of course, Nick will be hoping that is not the case. Michael Houghton not too far behind as well, but really probably looking in his rearview mirrors. Tobias Gerber, the brother of Fabian, is trying to not just stay within the top 5, but also see if he can crack into 4th before all is said and done. Let's take a look at the GTOs as well, because I believe you've got the update on those points, Adam.
Yeah, I definitely do. Dennis Neidhart is going to take the championship in the GTO standings, with Phil Lake too far back mathematically to compete. Juco La Scala is about 32 points back of Phil Lake, so Phil pretty well will likely secure that win today. But Rob Olenek is pretty close to Juco La Scala, so he could take over that 3rd spot if Juco has a bad race and DNFs here, especially on the early laps, whereas Reed Miller is also just a little bit behind Rob Olenek, so 3rd's not completely wrapped up, but Juco's going to have a bad day.
Well, that day that all the drivers are about to have will be going thusly as we have our race details here. We are on the final round of the season. It is their 40-minute format. This is their sprint format. I don't think anybody really wants to do a full 60 around here. And it is open setup, as always, in this series, so drivers can tweak the cars exactly to their liking. They don't have a fast repair. If you're not familiar with iRacing, what that means is they do not have a spare car waiting if they get damage. Usually, if you get damage in the lower series here in iRacing, you can hop in and take that spare car and get back racing. No such thing here at this level. The incidents will give you a stop and go at 17. You will have to visit pit lane in those cases. But if you get up to 25, you will be disqualified. With how narrow it is around here, it'll be easy to rack those incidents up. Looking out at the qualifying that's going on, it seems that Nick Mukanos currently leads the qualifying race, and by 3/10 on a very short track, which is impressive. He's coming across for his 2nd time. And he's not going to improve, and Ben Bella actually just snipes him with another 2.5 tenths ahead of him. So Enrique finds himself on the pole.
Yeah, right now in the GTOs, Yoni Hagner currently owns the pole over Phil Lake, but Dennis Neidhart, the Anvil, jumping up to the top of the leaderboard. He's got the championship in the bag, but he wants another win under his belt. He's going to try and take that pole away from Yoni Hagner and Phil Lake. One driver who hasn't set a time yet that I'm surprised about in the GTPs is Fabian Gerber. He has not set his time yet. I believe he's on his 2nd lap.
As we watch Hagner there as he finishes up, Woodstra just came across the line, checking to see who else will be trying to improve their time or who's just setting one. Jake Johansson does not. Phil Lake seems to be struggling a bit in warm-up, has at least got himself into 4th with his 1st lap. Now Fabian Gerber. This is one to watch. He has yet to set a time. His first one is going to be a 59.1, just under a minute, but it's good enough for 3rd.
3rd is very interesting here. He's tucked in behind Nick Mukanos right now, but here's Neidhart's 2nd lap. Yoni Hagner took pole position. Looks like Neidhart's going to go off track, so this might keep Yoni Hagner in the pole. Let's see whether or not that was enough to get him an off-track penalty, and I believe it was. Dennis Neidhart's going to stay in 2nd place. Yoni Hagner currently has provisional pole.
The lap counted, but it was slower than his first one. No wonder with that last corner. Here's Robbo now, sitting in 3rd, and again another car not able to improve on the 2nd lap. This seems to be a bit of a trend here today, and it's not terribly hot temperatures, so it's not that the tires are going away from them.
Jake Johansson's 1st lap coming, actually he's about to start this should be his 1st time lap he's about to complete here. It's going to be a 1:08.644, so Johansson's good enough for 7th place. Fabian Gerber just crossed the line again and goes to pole, so Fabian snipes pole from Bambella and Mukanos, and he's going to sit on pole today.
Wow, great stuff from him. We're still missing just a handful of drivers. Looks like Woodstra will not be able to complete his, and Terho, definitely that is a lap that will not count as he goes completely off track. The Finn knows it and he slows down. How about John Keefe? Yet to set a time, and he should be able to get both laps in, even though it looks like he's had a late start here in qualifying. Number 20 puts one down at a 1:02. It's a little bit off the pace. He'll be in 14th.
Yeah, Woodstra did disqualify this lap, but he's only on his 1st, so his 2nd lap should be good. He's rounding the final corner now. He's going to be starting his 2nd lap this time by.
There he goes, seeing if he can get one on the board before this is over. See Cam Wolverton also behind him, looking to finish his first timed lap. He looks a little slow here, though. I'm not sure what he's doing exactly.
He might be trying to warm up the tires, maybe set up for the second lap, but we've seen that second lap be slower, so it'll be interesting to see whether he speeds it up for that second lap. Stefan Schlacker as well is going to come around and try and set a time this time around. Nicholas Weatherby also looks like he's set his time in 10th place. Stefan Schlacker goes to 8th after that, and it looks like Wood's just not going to set a time today, like you said, Joe.
Jamie Hall finally gets one down. That'll be good enough for 4th. So front 2 rows for Jamie Hall on his first attempt. I don't think he can make around for another one, though, because we're down to a minute left on the clock.
Yeah,
watching Stefan Schlacker, yeah.
Steph should be able to make it for his second lap, but Jamie Hall's going to be the one who's going to be within a couple seconds of making it if he isn't able to. Well, I'll keep my eye on that, though.
Woodstra is actually still, not qualifying, but practicing, I should say. His qualifying is over with both laps done, so he's just out there trying to get some time in to get familiar. Meanwhile, Stefan Schlacker, I mentioned 8th last time by, really pushing the car, taking it right to the edge out of the final corner. And his second lap is going to be 2/10 quicker. Only puts him up 1 spot. That is 1 spot less that he has to pass during the race. What about Wolverton here?
Cam's going quicker this time around. It's still going to be a slow lap, but it is faster than his last one, a 1:16.198. So that's actually pretty good for someone who isn't as familiar with the car.
Well, that is going to finish our qualifying. Let's go through the starting order here for today. Fabian Gerber on the pole, looking to wrap up another successful championship in style, but Enrique Banbel is going to try and stop him. He's been a little bit accident prone so far, even though he's been quick. Then you've got Nick Mukanos starting P3 and Michael Houghton in P4. Laust Olsen starts 5th, followed by Martin Krejcik, who's been improving time after time in his qualifying, up to 6th this time. Stefan Schlacker will be starting behind him on the next row in 7th. Fabian Nunbluth to his outside in 8th. Eitor Sintez Guindo starting P9 with Jacob Leon in the 10th position. John Keith with 11th, and Nicholas Weatherby will be starting in 12th. Got Johnny Bell P13, Bronislav Robanek in 14th, and Hideki Koivisto in P15. Then it's Josh Gaiman, the last of them to put a time in of our prototypes, in 16th. Slotting in behind them will be Erwin Woodstra, Ryan Lang, and Nick Mannery.
Yoni Hagner's going to take pole in the GTOs, just over Dennis Neidhart by only 0.02 of a second. Rob Olenik's going to start off in 3rd position with Jamie Hall in 4th. Phil Lake's going to start off 5th today, just ahead of Obi Crangrade in 6th position. Antti Terho's going to start off in that 7th spot with Jake Johansson in 8th. Alexander Veldman's going to start off 9th today, alongside Matthias Platz in 10th. Yuri Gearson's going to start off in 11th position with Simo Raba in 12th. Michael Haynes is going to start off 13th, with Cam Wolverton being our last GTO to set a time. The only GTO that didn't set a time is Nicholas Schmeg, who's going to start off in 15th and round out our 34-car field.
34 cars is usually a decent size here, but around this tiny track, that is going to be a lot to happen. A lot of cars to try and dodge in 2 miles of pavement. And if you're having trouble keeping up with it all, make sure and check out our live timing. All you got to do is go to gsrc.tv and you can watch all of your favorite drivers there, even if they're not on screen. So already we're taking off down to one of the few good places to pass here, Adam, down into that first hairpin.
Yeah, passing here is going to be a real challenge for all of these classes, but you're going to have to set it up off of that final corner. The one thing you cannot do is overcommit into the final corner. That's a very, very dangerous proposition, because what that ends up doing is it shoots you off wide into that gravel trap on the outside, and that loses you a lot of time. If you overdo it there, you're not going to be able to set up on a passer, on a person ahead of you, and you might even get caught from someone who's way far behind you. You could lose over half a second on that back straight if you're not careful.
Now heading out of Wagon Wheel there, as we were watching the Nissans, but the GTO class, slightly smaller than what we've got for the GTPs. Not good news for them, that is for sure. That's more of them having to try and pick their way by. This is one of the big danger zones. We've nicknamed it yard sale, although I don't know if that's what they call it in real life, but at least here on iRacing, Adam, it certainly scatters cars about into that little infield section.
Yeah, and I would expect to see some of that in the first lap on both of these classes. Expect the fighting to be hot and heavy for both of these classes until they get mixed into one another in the multi-class action, because the multi-class is really going to separate everybody in every class, and it's going to be really unfortunate for those drivers in the lead who are trying to cut through the field for the first time. That Audi field is going to be a difficult thing to cut through with these GTPs.
To tell you how short this lap is, we're already almost done with the pace lap. So, as the Porsche pace car leads Fabian Gerber on to what is, I guess, essentially the backstretch here before they come up to Paddock Bend. Peel off early, give him control. There's the pit entry. There goes the pace car. Gerber waiting. In fact, waiting quite a bit behind Bambella. He's going to get a good jump on him most likely here. There he goes. Fabian Gerber takes the green flag. It's time for the finale for the Kamel GT series coming down to the first turn. Bambella's actually got a good slipstream, though. He is catching quickly. Gerber's going to be under threat as he takes a look into the inside. Oh, and they come together. Bambella spins off to the inside. He manages to keep it out of the wall. Can he keep it from spinning back into the field? Everybody else is fine. Let's go to the GTOs.
Yoni Hagner got an amazing jump as he has in weeks past. Dennis Neidhart, though, is still right on his tail. Looks like there's a little bit of trouble in the back of the Audi pack behind them, but these leaders are all single file at this point, except for Phil Lake, who now has to slot in right in behind his teammate Jamie Hall, but the Audis now straight and level.
So Bambella, after that mistake, where did he wind up?
He's in the pits, Joe.
He must have had a separate incident because it looked like he siphoned in about 12th place or so.
Well, he did go over quite a bit of grass and embankment, so he probably has some serious undercarriage damage to that vehicle.
Wow, it was a brave attempt, but it did not pay off. Fabian Gerber leads the way the first lap through. Mukanos in second. Houghton runs in third, still looking for that first win all this race, all this season, even though he has been so fast. But very single file racing here down in the first turn for the Nissans. Let's look and see how the GTOs do.
GTOs are doing pretty well single file as well. Looks like Yoni Hagner trying to break the draft down that long front straight. That's where you're going to see most of the passing happen with these Audis, but they got a little bit too strung out on that first lap. So these guys are going to be trying to work to get back to the bumper of Yoni Hagner. Dennis Neidhart, though, under pressure from Rob Olnick, but he gets a better exit here, and now he's going to start pressuring Yoni Hagner into that complicated section here with the yard sale.
I think this is about as calm as you're going to see this race, because as soon as the traffic starts to come in, expect it to all explode. Look behind Rob, though, here. They've got Phil Lake closing in as Rob nearly gets into the back of Dennis Neidhart, breaking down into yard sale. They all crunch together through the carousel and into the S's.
Yeah, the red Audi of Jamie Hall right ahead of Phil Lake. Jamie's actually taking a very interesting line through the final corner. We'll see if we get an opportunity to see it here. We're going to jump aboard with Phil Lake and watch Jamie Hall's line as he goes through the final corner. He takes a very early apex, but a late dive on the brakes. He actually kind of flicks the car in like that, and it didn't work out well for him that time. Phil Lake's going to have an opportunity to get by this time.
Closing in, no defense from Jamie Hall. It's down to the inside. The number 5 looks for a pass. They're going to be side by side into the braking. Once they hit that apex, it looks like Lake has got it. Maybe. Could be an over-under from Hall. No. Solid pass from Phil, getting himself into 4th.
Now remember that these two are teammates, so they have no inclination to take each other out at this point in the race. Phil Lake going a little bit wide through that corner. Oh, look at this. Bronislav Robanek is wrecked.
And unfortunately caught out Nick Mannery, who was a little bit thrown off, and he's just going to come back in front of the GTO class. Hopefully he can get away from them here. Just a self-spin from Robanek.
Easy enough to do on the brakes here. You want to set your brakes for the medium speed corners, but then if you're not too careful, when you get to these lower speed corners and you try and put the brake down, the rear brake bias can send that car around, especially with the narrow corners like we have here.
Yoni Hagner has got himself a little bit of trouble because Dennis Neidhart has been closing in behind him in some places and really applying the pressure. And I think he's probably well aware that Neidhart is developing a reputation this season. He's got 8 wins out of 11 rounds, looking to make it 9 out of 12. So he's going to have his hands full.
He definitely is, and expect the infield to try and put pressure on him early this race. Once again, that multi-class is going to separate any battles that you have, so expect Joni Hagner to be under some serious pressure here. But Rob Olenek, we can't forget about him either. He's been really impressive in these last couple rounds here. He's really starting to show his teeth here.
Closing into within 0.2 of a second by the time they break for yard sale. Looking to the inside as a little mistake from Joni Hagner opens the door. The track switches back. It's a pair of right-handers here, and it looks like Neidhart can't do much with it.
Yeah, he tried to go around the outside, but Joni Hagner just stuck it to the inside, used that four-wheel drive to get the power off the corner, able to maintain that position. Rob Olenek licking his chops here, thinking that Dennis Neidhart might be a little bit weak, but Dennis gets a good launch off the corner. Here comes the final corner, though. They're as close as they've ever been. Expect some drafting down this long straight if anyone gets a good run off the corner, and Dennis does.
It's good, but I don't know if it's good enough. Hagner, is he going to defend yet again or try and break that slipstream? No, he stays on the racing line. He feels confident. Neidhart as well, staying behind. So top three stay as they were. Hagner leads, Neidhart second, Olenek third.
Yeah, these Audis are putting on a good show. We've got a nice train going for first place all the way down to seventh with Antti Terho. And these drivers in the Audis are going to have to settle this out very quickly because Fabian Gerber's already starting to catch the traffic.
I almost argue they got a little bit of a breakaway there. That top three is kind of left Phil Lake behind. But we take a look at our leader in the prototypes. This is where it starts to get tricky. He's going to go past Nick Schmeg there first.
Yeah, he took
out of the way.
He took his time with Nick. Nick is one of the new drivers in this series, and so Fabian not understanding necessarily what actions Nick is going to take, so Fabian taking a cautious approach there. He has raced with Simo Raba before, so expect him to be a little bit more aggressive here with Simo.
Oh, but he's not sure if he's going to take the racing line now. Oh, and Simo makes slight contact as actually Raba plows into the tires from getting that little tip.
And that's how dangerous this course is, Joe. There's absolutely no runoff. There's no opportunity to try and make moves. It's really dangerous, and we're going to see more of this today. This is not the last time.
Yeah. Hard to tell who to put blame on that one, because really he couldn't sit around. Had to have known he was going to try and sneak through. Mukanos is already behind him by about 0.3, as we don't need to go to it, but a little bit of a spin from Bell.
And Nick Mukanos is very close in behind Fabian Gerber, and Fabian's catching up to some dangerous traffic here. He's going to go to the inside of Matthias Platz there, able to do so. Nick Mukanos, though, is going to be stuck behind Matthias as they go around all of these difficult corners. This is going to allow Fabian Gerber to pull away a little bit. He's going to catch up to Veltman up ahead, but there's nothing doing. Look at this. This might be dangerous. Oh, that was very close. Matthias caught the inside curb, shot him out to the outside, but Nick Mukanos was able to sneak by.
And that actually helped out Fabian Gerber quite a bit. 1.6 seconds ahead now as they come onto the front stretch once again. Back in fourth place in this class. How about Laust Olsen? He's been hunting down Krejcik for a number of laps now. I've been keeping an eye on him. In 21, hasn't been able to do anything with it quite yet, but they are also coming up to this big bunch of traffic, essentially, of GTO cars.
Yeah, and that purple car in behind him, Stefan Schlocker's looking for some extra positions as well. He's already got one from the early wrecking Bombella, so he's up to 6 from his starting position of 7th. But Laust Olsen trying to stick right to the back bumper of Martin Krejcik. I don't know if he's going to be able to do here on the outside of Matthias Platz. Matthias just not having the best day right now, getting caught up by all the traffic. But here we go, Laust Olsen tucked in right in behind Martin Krejcik, and Stefan Schlocker trying to follow this train as well, but they're catching Audis at the worst time. Martin Krejcik's going to have to brake here. This could give an opportunity to Olsen.
Yeah, keep an eye on that purple number 15. Oh, and in fact, he's going to have a great run on Olsen as he gets held up big time. He's going to look to the inside, thinks twice about that 3-wide move, though. And now, once again, traffic for all 3 of them. That's Jake Johansson. Now Olsen is on the attack instead as he follows in the slipstream down the front stretch. Krejcik does not cover him off. Olsen to the inside. He's got to be brave on the brakes, but we've already seen one driver have problems in this corner. Looks like he's got it. Laust Olsen up to P4.
Fantastic move from him, Stefan Schlocker. Oh, Stefan Schlocker unfortunately gets a little bit too eager on the brakes, hits that outside banging. That's going to be some undercarriage damage for him. Let's see whether he can recover later on in this race.
Yeah, that was just all wheel spin on him, unfortunately. Hopefully he doesn't suffer the same thing as Ben Bella. Jumping back to the GTO lead, they've got the other leaders just behind them. Fabian Gerber waiting patiently, not wanting to interrupt this, but now he's also looking at his mirrors, and Nick Bukanos is there. He makes his move, coming up to the final corner. Paddock bend, can he get both of them? Maybe.
Yikes.
The Finn just barely lets him through.
That was some sketchy movements. Nick McConnell saw an opportunity, but that's the most dangerous place to pass the Audis. It's the fastest corner for them on the circuit. But here we go. They're catching up to Johnny Bella, who they're passing, who's still slow on the course. This could complicate matters a little bit there. Johnny Bella a little bit off track there. That's going to make things complicated for Joni Hagner and Dennis Neidhart. Yoni's actually getting held up by Bell a little bit here.
Yeah, Bell had to come in and get his damage repaired. He's back out and running at this point. Looks like he's going to be able to pull away. Still, the nightmare's not over for our GTOs because Houghton trying to get by, and that actually compromised the entry into the right-hand kink for Hagner. He still is successful in holding him off.
Yeah, the trouble with getting that entry compromised into that right-hand kink is it messes up your entry into the left-hander or into yard sale. It's really, really complex there to try and get that corner right if you're offline going through the right-hander beforehand. But Joni Hagner able to maintain that lead. Dennis Neidhart has not been able to puncture away the lead from the Finn.
Up next for them is going to be Laust Olsen. And Laust, ever since he got by, has been leaving Krejcik in the dust here. So they're making good on that track position now that he's got it.
And we have a battle going on for P6 in the GTPs between Fabian Newbluth and John Keefe. These two guys have been battling tooth and nail as they start to deal with some GTO traffic as well. Oh boy, that was Jamie Hall almost turning into Fabian Newbluth. This could get really complicated. Jamie comes across the, ooh, wow. Jamie looks like he's a little bit unstable in that car right now. John Keefe's going to go to his inside, but that breaks up the battle just a little bit here.
Stefan Schlacker on his recovery, also trying to get back by. 2 wheels off for Hall once again. That's Sintez Guindo also chasing. It is madness here as they come through the back portion of the circuit. Schlacker looking to the inside of Keefe, can't quite get his nose in.
This is exactly what we're talking about, the multi-class chaos on this track. It's so narrow, there's nowhere to go around. It's now a 4-car battle for that 7th position. John Keefe, Stefan Schlacker, Aitor Sintez-Guindo, and Jacob Leon. They're all going to be nose to tail. Now we've got Phil Laker, our 4th place driver. The GTO's getting held up by a slow GTO driver as well. Now here we go, multiple battles on this straight. This is all fantastic stuff, Joe.
And Lake did get by Hall in that. You could see in the back of your screen. Hall just unfortunately going a little bit wide, all breaking down into the hairpin. Oh, Schlacker gets punted. That was Sintez Guindo, unfortunately. Just caught the back of him.
Too deep on the brakes, didn't realize that the traffic was holding up Stefan Schlacker and just nails him in the rear end. We're going to see it again here.
Yeah, Schlacker definitely an innocent victim on that one. He really had nowhere to go, and he was holding his line. Unfortunately, Aitor just didn't anticipate the checkup.
Yeah, we're looking at Rob Olenek here as he... Oh, jeez.
Oh, not what you want to see.
No, not at all.
Wow. Rob handled that really well, though, you have to say. Didn't panic too much. Just went the long way around and sucked it up. He's still in 4th. Lake
leading the
now
GTOs might be
3rd.
changing here very shortly. Dennis Neidhart's got his best run on Joni Hagner that he's had in a long time, and this was caused by some lap traffic up ahead of him. Dennis might try and dive to the inside here. Oh, it's going to be a switch lanes there from Erwin Woodstra. Dennis Neidhart's going to try and go around the outside of the corner.
Despite the distraction, doesn't seem to work. Got to do it all his own. We watch from Dennis's perspective here, over his shoulder, up into wagon wheel. And over a blind crest this corner, it's a fast one. Both of them looking to pick up speed before they got to brake again, down into yard sale. You can see those brake taillights light up. Both of them nice and tidy into there. They're going to get joined once again by Stefan Schlacker here in a moment.
I absolutely love watching these different lines as we see Dennis and Yoni having different lines through this sector here. Both of them with different advantages and disadvantages as they hit different parts of the circuit, but it looks like Yoni Hagner's getting the run at the points where he needs to. See how he's stretching away right here. This is exactly where he needs to stretch away because they're about to go through the fastest corner on the circuit. And unless Dennis can get a good exit, which he can't get a better one than Yoni Hagner, then he can't challenge him. Yoni doing exactly what he needs to do to retain that lead. And I'm not sure whether you mentioned it because I was distracted by this battle, but Phil Lake up to third place after Rob Olenek had that off track.
Indeed, he's been taking advantage of others' woes quite well. It's all about staying clean around here. Boy, look at that exit, though, for Neidhart once again. Not often you see passes into Wagon Wheel, and it doesn't look like he's got enough here this time. So he's going to stay in those tire tracks. The number 4 car looking for win number 9, incredibly.
Yeah, and this track is all about forcing mistakes from your competitors. And if you can't force your competitor to make a mistake, you might just need to apply the chrome horn a little bit around here, if you're especially towards the end of this race. We're almost halfway through, 24 minutes gone. We're entering our 25th minute and 20 seconds. This is a very intense race, and these drivers are doing an excellent job of keeping everything as clean as they possibly can.
Here's what's wild, is we only have one DNF. Now, I do see Cam Wolverton in pit lane. I'm not sure if he intends to return. He might be our second one, but out of 34 starters, this is actually not too bad so far. Woo. As, yeah, that weaving back and forth, that is Hideki Koivisto trying to get out of the way of these two. Once again, covering off the inside, Yoni Hagner. Oh, there's your chrome horn into the back. Dennis Neidhart gives a hello.
Yeah, and that was just a little bit of a, Yoni Hagner had to apply the brakes more because he was on the inside of the corner there. So Dennis Neidhart trying to carry speed through to make sure that he could get an advantage on Yoni, ends up getting into the back of him. And Yoni using that four-wheel drift to try and power out. Remember, this car was originally designed as a rally machine, so it's very adept at doing that, but that's not the best, that's not the fastest way around the course for sure.
And just an update, let's stick with this battle, but Fabian Gerber still leading. It is now 3 seconds ahead of Nick Mukanos in second place in the prototypes. These two have barely been separated all race long. Looks like Kratrik's recovered, though, is in fourth in the prototypes. Laust Olsen now suddenly has Martin Kratrik trying to snatch that P4 back. Just behind them, it is Nick Mannery. But he is a lap down, so that is not for position. He's just trying to stay out of their way.
And it looks like Kratrik is better in the clean air, but Olsen has been able to manage the traffic better, so that's why we're seeing Kratrik catch up to Olsen. This was about a 2-second gap just a couple of laps ago. Well, I say a couple, but about 10 laps ago. And these drivers are now starting to close in between these two as well.
Hey, what, the lead in the prototypes also. Actually, an attempt on the lead. Nick Mukanos used the traffic to his advantage and is caught back up to Gerber. He took a little bit of a peek. He knows it's going to be tough to try and steal this one away. A little slide off of the hairpin. Unfortunately, not going to allow him to stay as close as he wants.
That was a very good attempt from him for sure. Fabian Gerber losing time to the traffic. Nick Mukanos using every opportunity he can to try and put a challenge to Gerber. But you can see when they're breaking into that corner, they're all over the track. They're from the inside to the outside, and that's because the previous corner is just so hard to get a good exit there and get the car lined up and straight into the braking zone. Because if you're braking at an angle, that thing's just going to come around and send you off into the grass.
And once again, now that they're in clear air, look at that. Fabian Gerber just leaves him in the dust. So Mukanos continuing to try and do what he can with the opportunities. They're going to get a couple more cars in front of them. That's Terho, as well as looks like Ove Trangrade.
Yeah, this is going to complicate things for both of them because of the braking zone. Nick Mukanos is going to be able to get to the inside, but Fabian Gerber's going to have to wait behind Trangrade. This could hold him up a little bit, especially as they start exiting the corner. Trangrade getting a little bit drifty there, almost getting into Gerber. Gerber having to take evasive action into the grass a little bit, but now Nick Mukanos is going to get held up through that corner. This is all just the complexities of dealing with the multi-class action, but now Fabian Gerber has Jamie Hall, Rob Olnick, and Phil Lake up ahead of him through the most complex and slowest portion of the track for the Audis.
Saving grace for him is that it seems behind them, drivers still struggling with the cars he just overtook. Mukanos did manage to get through, but Houghton having to take his time. Oh, this is not good. This is going to be, well, not for Gerber, at least for Mukanos. It's fantastic. He is right on top of him. Covering Coming off the inside, Gerber trying to make sure he doesn't have a chance. Now they come up to Rabo. Rabo trying to stay on his line. Here we go again. Mucanos coming down to the first corner. They're going to have a little bit of Phil Lake interrupting things to the outside, and that actually might cost the opportunity for Nick Mucanos sliding wide. Fabian Gerber trying to send it in as deep as possible, and somehow he comes out with the lead.
And just up ahead of them, the battle for the GTO lead is side by side, so we're going to have two side-by-side battles very shortly. Dennis Neidhart has gotten an advantage on Joni Hagner, but Joni blocks him off of the corner. Now we're going to get the leaders in our GTP class up to this battle as well. They're going to be stuck behind Bronislav Robanek, who's right behind them, but this is intense stuff in both classes.
Robanek is really going to throw a big wrench into it. Is he going to stay off to the side? No, he's trying to lap them too.
Oh boy, here we go.
But it's... Here comes Mucanos. He's going to be able to get side by side. Not willing for that 3 wide. Oh, and Robanek starts to spin it. Fabian Gerber is a little bit braver, trying to get through the corner with a slideways Robanek. And that costs Mucanos.
Whoa!
Oh! Car diving in front of Gerber.
That was Dennis... That was Simo Raba who ended up diving in front of him. Fabian Gerber able to maintain that. Oh my goodness, Nick Mucanos, Fabian Gerber, they both had stressful stuff here.
On board with Gerber. No, it looks like we're going with the helicopter view here.
Oh.
My goodness. I mean, Gerber really couldn't have known that this was coming, but look at the cool head in this situation.
Jeez.
Whoa! I think there was a little bit of a touch. Let's listen.
And Joe, if Joni hadn't have braked there, they definitely would have made contact. Oh.
So as we come back live, can't really see the damage here. He may have gotten away with it. Wow. Well, there were just inches between them.
But one driver who has not gotten away with it is Joni Hagner. Joni's still under pressure from Dennis. He was able to pull a second before he had to brake on the straightaway, but now Dennis Neidhart right up to his back bumper once again. Dennis is really wearing at Joni Hagner's tires. You can see him start to slide a little bit. We're at 19 minutes to go left in the race. Joni Hagner's already starting to struggle with grip a little bit around here. Dennis Neidhart putting the pressure on very well.
Small update, don't need to go to it, but Woodstra had a self-spin. He didn't hit anything, he keeps going. Let's stay with this as they get approached off-screen by Laust Olsen just behind. Another defensive move down into yard sale from Joni Hagner. Boy, he is just having to throw everything, trying to keep Dennis behind. Raytrick chasing Olsen still, so this is a battle for position. In the top 5, now coming to interrupt them.
Oh boy!
Oh no!
Contact! That's the leader round.
That was ghost contact for sure. Krajcik was nowhere near Olsen, and somehow his car suddenly made a giant move over into him.
Oh, Joni Hagner with major... Oh, he's got major suspension damage, Joe.
Yeah, I couldn't see it from that angle, but you could see how it looked like a touch. Hopefully Hagner is able to go back and take a look at that and realize what went down.
Oh, that's a tough break, but Joni would have had contact with Laust regardless. I'm just not sure it would have been that severe, but he definitely was going off the track because of that. Unfortunately, Joni Hagner now back in 7th position.
Racing gods are with Dennis Neidhart today because that gives him the lead and by a handy margin over Lake. We take a look at, wow, a giant train of cars. That is John Keefe, who is in 7th, chasing Jungbluth, but with them it's Sintez Guindo and Jacob Leon as well.
3 wide.
Maybe.
Oh, yeah, that's never going to work.
Keefe is going to get turned. Can he stop the car before it comes back on track? No, it goes back across. Jamie Hall, unfortunately, is just going to be in the wrong place at the wrong time.
That's rough stuff. 3 wide through that sector is never going to work. The track does look wider there, but then it narrows up right at that point. We're going to look on board here, and we're going to take a watch of that incident once again. This was John Keefe trying to be passed by another car up ahead of, right behind him. The track narrows up, and they just can't make the 3 wide work. A little bit of contact into Keefe, and he can't get it locked down soon enough, and Jamie Hall contact.
Yeah, I'm guessing we're going to watch on board. I bet he's blind. Yeah, look at all the smoke.
He can't turn the car anymore. It's the Audi push. It's just, there's nothing he can do at that point.
So that's 2 of our major players in the GTOs that have big contact. But miraculously, look at the front of Jamie Hall. He T-boned it. How has he not got any damage on that car?
Well, I'll take a look and see whether or not his straight line speed is down. But you're right. That car looks miraculously fine right now.
Incredible. Well, he's very, very lucky if he got away without damage, because it certainly didn't look like a small hit from John Keefe's perspective. All right, so an update real quick. Fabian Gerber is still leading up in the prototypes, and Dennis Neidhart is now your leader down in the GTOs. So we've had 1 lead change. Mukanos is still struggling to stay up with Gerber. It's about 2.5 seconds back as we now ride on board with Neidhart.
Yeah, Mechanos just has not been able to close the gap as the battles have strung out more in the GTOs, so Fabian Gerber has been able to break away by almost 2 seconds. There's Mechanos. Now we can see Fabian up ahead of him, but look at all the traffic he has between him and Fabian. He's going to catch them at some of the worst points on the track, so this is difficult stuff.
Jamie Hall seems to have gotten some sort of damage because he's now in pit lane and taking big repairs because he's been in there for a half a minute, so it isn't showing, but it did affect him. Let's go back to let's go to the battle between Trangerade and Hagner. Yoni's still in this thing. We didn't mention it. He didn't come into pit lane. He's in 5th, and he's trying to recover.
Well, he's
on the back of the Scandinavian now.
Well, he damaged the rear end of the car, and while you do get drive from those rear wheels, it was a flush impact with the rear end of the car, and that's not where the engine is or anything like that. So the Hideki Koivisto is going to try and battle them on braking, but Joni Hagner trying to claw his way up. Here comes Erwin Woodstra as well, challenging. Oh, Hideki Koivisto gets loose. Woodstra's going to go through. This is going to hold up. Ove Trangerade. Joni Hagner makes it by.
That is the skill of the Finn we are used to seeing. May not net him a win today unless something dramatic happens, but still he is a never give up sort of person as someone spins and disappears. Who is that?
That was Woodstra.
I think he hit the incident limit.
I believe so. That's hard to do around here, Joe.
Yeah, I guess he must have come in for his stop and go already. Now, one driver I want to put the camera on that isn't in a battle but is an important person right now. Phil Lake. Phil Lake is up to 2nd place. He's won 2 races and he's showing why. He knows how to handle all the craziness that Kamel throws at you. Remember, he was down in, what was it, 5th place earlier on?
You hear me knocking on wood, Joe. This is because Phil Lake's luck this season has been historically bad, and he's been able to navigate all the trouble today so far. But if we keep talking about it, I'm worried that he's going to have some more bad luck.
That's true. That's true. Let's go back to Trangerade because he's still trying to hold on to Hagner. But it looks like they've been split by our 2nd place GTP driver. Mukanos, who's going to slow up here. He's not in a direct battle, so he's going to try and take his time, even though he's trying to catch Gerber.
Yeah, while we're taking a look at that, there's
go ahead.
Yeah, there's another battle still going on between Kraytrick and Olsen. Olsen, remember Kraytrick got by on the clean air, but Olsen now trying to recatch him as they catch up to traffic here. So once again, their different strengths starting to come into play here. Olsen's going to go around the outside of Jake Johansson, and then they've got Ryan Lang up ahead of them. That's going to complicate matters. I think Olsen's going to get trapped here.
He absolutely is. He unfortunately was kind of squeezed between Johansson and the driver of Lang, which he's still behind. That's Lang in the maroon car. He's going to dutifully pull off to the side. Nicely done.
That cost him 2 seconds on Kraytrick, so unfortunately he's going to have a lot of work to catch up, and Kraytrick's going to get some clean air now too.
So that's going to split that battle up. Let's go back to P4 of the GTOs because Trangrade is just not giving up on Hagner. Now, I don't believe he's close enough to be able to attack, but look at that. It's still within a second between them. If he's going to try and ride those coattails, see if he can catch up to the podium. They've got a long ways to go with only 11 minutes. It is 10 seconds back.
Yeah, but anything can happen. I mean,
Oh, yeah.
we've seen that
Yes.
already today. So as long as these guys keep fighting hard for these positions, any of them could end up with a podium or even the win should something crazy happen.
Probably just going to come down to traffic and who gets caught up where. I don't think Hagner is going to give up on this one. He's sporting that damage on the right front side, and he's not letting that slow him down as they come down the front stretch one more time, picking up speed into the heavy braking of the hairpin. They've got 9 seconds up to Dennis Neidhart for the time being.
Yeah, I'm sure Jamie Hall, who is now officially retired from the race, is thinking to himself, man, Cody Hagner went into those tire barriers so hard, and here I am with seemingly no damage, and I have to take a pit and retire from this race. So as Dione keeps going, it's just the iRacing gods giving different people, some different damage, and Dione Hagner still able to hold on to that 4th position.
Chases him down into yard sale, closes in. Now, Gerber has been held up a little bit, and that was actually by our leader in the GTOs, Neidhart. Mukanos is within half a second. Let's see, who is ahead of him, because it looks pretty blank there. And that is actually a couple cars. Looks like Plotz and Cam Wolverton are going to be caught by them pretty soon as, boy, Gerber is feeling the pressure now. I saw a little bit of tire spin coming off the hairpin from there. And it seems Schlocker's had a problem as he is taking a toe to pit lane.
Yeah, it appears it was a self-spin or maybe some damage that came beforehand, maybe a little bit of a meatball, but unfortunately he's not gonna be able to finish this race. But Nick Mukanos, on the other hand, he's catching Gerber just a little bit. I mean, Gerber's still faster through the technical sections, but Gerber also, with that damage that he has, he's collected a little bit of damage. He is now being held up a little. Oh, he's held up majorly by Cam Wolverton. Here's an opportunity for Mukanos to gain more time.
In the background, that was Plotz going off and wound up on his lid. That was all his own doing, though. Still giving chase. Mukanos trying to stay with it. He knows the opportunities are going to be difficult to come by. He's got 1 win so far this season compared to the 4 for Gerber. Let's see if he can snatch 1 more.
And Nick just needs to stay within range. There's 9 minutes left in this race. All he needs to do is just stay within striking distance of Gerber and hope that Gerber gets held up by traffic like that again. And it will happen because it's really hard to keep your eyes out your rearview mirror in this race. So Gerber is having to navigate all this traffic fresh. And as soon as Gerber goes by, everyone's thinking about whether they're going to get lapped again. But before Gerber comes through, they're probably not looking in their rearview mirror as much. So once again, Gerber pulling away through this technical section. And Mukanos is going to have to hope for some traffic, and Gerber gets held up by Simo Raba. It's the same story as last lap. Oh, this time there's contact! That sends Gerber off track! Mukanos able to get by Gerber with major right side damage.
Ooh, that's the 2nd time that Raba has, actually, though, the 3rd time that there have been issues with Raba. Because remember, at the very start of the race, those two made contact.
This is race defining for Gerber. He's got significant damage. We're going to see it right now. This was just a lack of awareness from Simo Raba. He didn't realize that Gerber was out there. That's not going to go over well in the past.
Yeah, I think there might be a few words in the forums after this one. So Nick Mukanos now up in the lead. Both leads have been affected by lap traffic trying to navigate now. Neidhart having inherited it, and Mukanos pretty much similar. Gerber is about 5 seconds behind. How much is his speed damaged?
Pretty significantly. He's being caught by Nicholas Weatherby, who's had major damage before as well. So Fabian Gerber is not going to be able to put up a fight against Michael Houghton, who's closing in behind him very quickly.
So Houghton could be looking at a 2nd place. Meanwhile, back in 7th in the GTOs, Jake Johansson is being chased by Veldman.
Oh,
Haven't looked at these too much. What happened? Did Hagner get into the wall?
This
I think
was
he did.
Yeah, this was a bump from a GTP, unfortunately.
Jacob Leon seems to have caught him a little bit. You can see it coming into the carousel.
Yeah.
Just a little nudge, and he was already on the edge, so that car just slid into the tires and nothing he could do.
That's all it takes around here, unfortunately.
I can tell you that Houghton did easily get by Gerber. Checking to see where that was. And it seems, looks like, well, there was a car going off in front of them. That was Weatherby, so I can't tell if that distracted Gerber or if he just simply lacked pace.
It's just Gerber's pace. It's just so damaged at this point. He's trying to hang on for some decent points, even though he has the championship in the bag. But he's taking the racer's way out, which is to finish the race. Even with you go down with the ship, Joe. There's no way he's going to drop out of this race at this point.
Well, and I'm glad to see that out of a multi-time champion. Some people, if they don't win, they're just willing to throw in the towel. But Fabian is sticking with it. Mukanos with a handy 6.5 second lead with 5 minutes left to go. Behind them, Olsen has been overtaken by Krejcik once again. I'm not sure if this happened a while ago. I'm checking to see. Yeah, it looks like this was a bit ago.
They go by the slow GTO of Michael Haynes. Now they got Nicholas Weatherby, the slow GTP. Now, just note here, these two guys are 24 seconds off of the lead that Mukanos has. And this is Nicholas Weatherby, who was able to pass Fabian Gerber very quickly, even with his damage. So you're seeing the pace difference. Remember that these guys, that Gerber had a 24-second lead over these guys, and Nicholas Weatherby, who they're about to pass, was faster than them. So it was faster than him on the damage. So I mean, it's just crazy to think about how much damage is affecting Gerber right now. Martin Krejcik, though, might get held up by Nicholas Weatherby if he's not careful.
He's been flashing his lights at him. He wants by, but Weatherby's not close enough. I think that he's holding them up, at least for the time being. See, once they get into the technical portions, boy, pushing it. Krejcik nearly had an off there, coming out of wagon wheel. So he's taking this car to the limits, and off goes Weatherby. That's going to let them both by easily.
That's exactly what Krejcik was asking for. Next up for these two is Fabian Gerber up ahead of them. So they will catch him by the end of this race. We have 4 minutes to go left in the race. It's going to be about 3 to 4 laps for these guys. So things are going to get pretty intense here. They've got 5 seconds up to Gerber. So expect Krejcik and Olsen to be pushing as hard as they can.
Yeah, possible podium here for the number 14. A bit of a bumpy exit coming off of Paddock. And Olsen starts to gain with that better momentum. Doesn't poke his nose in, though.
Olsen able to hang on to the back of Krejcik. Krejcik able to hang on to that position. They both went a little deep through turn one. So that's going to hold them up significantly here. Veldman now becomes the next car as Gerber's able to pass Veldman. Veldman was in a battle with Jake Johansson, and it ends up that he looks like he had it off, and that sent him back in the pack. Here comes Krejcik looking to the inside. Veldman's going to have to take the apex, though, in order to maintain his line. So Krejcik's caught up behind him. But Phil Lake and Rob Olnick are very close together as well.
Ooh, a little look to the inside through the hairpin. Lake is going to have to, or Olnick rather, is going to have to sit back and wait for another chance here. I think some of that was kicked off by the drivers trying to get through. There's the Nissans you see up ahead. This is for second place here in the GTOs. By the way, I did some looking at the lap times. Krejcik is definitely going to get Gerber because they were 4 seconds faster a lap.
Yeah, and it'll definitely happen this lap. They're already on the back of him, but look at this. Rob Olnick really doing a good job hanging out of the back of Phil Lake. Phil Lake looking like he's struggling with corner exit now with a little bit of aero push. Well, not aero push, it's just push in this Audi. Look at this. He's really gaining significantly on him through the braking zone. Let's see whether Robbo can make the move.
All it's going to take is a good run, which I think he's got as they come down to the first corner. Lake's going to make him work for it. He covers off the inside. Good on the brakes, though. Look at Rob Olenek. Can he get the car to turn in? That's the question. Maybe. He just keeps it out of the dirt. Oh, but the wheel spin as they come together. Robbo's going to try and save it. And Lake's slowing up to try and let him back through, but I don't think he's going to get that as Olenek slides to a halt.
Oh, that's heartbreaking.
And there goes Gerber falling out of the podium. As Krejcik now finds himself in the top 3, and he's even going to let Olsen by. Gerber knows that he is off pace. He's not fighting anybody.
I mean, 4 seconds off pace is ludicrous amount. But look at this, Krejcik getting held up by Anti-Terho. Now they got Nick Schmig off track as well, so this is going to make things interesting here. Lars Olsen trying to regain that position on Martin Krejcik. Unbelievable stuff from these drivers.
Yeah, now the pressure's really on, because even though we don't get to really spray champagne, everybody wants to finish on the podium. And Laust Olsen is probably no exception. The 21 sees the box change, as we've now got the white flag already. Mukano says just a little less than a lap to go.
This is unbelievable. This race has completely flown by. It's amazing to see how quick they're going. We're going to take a look at Dennis Neidhart as he's already taken his white flag lap as well. So these drivers just making it through this race, just surviving at this point.
And I can tell you that Phil Lake did slow up and let Olenek through. So he gave away a lot of time because they were not in a position to lose that podium. Interesting stuff. We'll have to talk to them later. But meanwhile, let's talk about this man, Nick Mukanos. It's been a bit since he's got that victory. He's going to wrap up on a high note here in this 12-week season as the number 11 car comes out of Paddock Bend and wins here at Summit Point Raceway. Neidhart is going to get a full lap around as he was just ahead of him.
But Olnek and Lake will not, and they're almost nose to tail right now. Phil Lake's going to try and make a dive to the inside of the corner. Nothing doing. Rob Olenek is going to hang on to that position, I believe. Let's see here. Rob got a bad exit, but he's going to be able to hang on to it right there at the end. Phil Lake giving that position back on this last lap.
Houghton took second, and third went to Krejcik in that class. As we take a look at Dennis Neidhart coming through, and I think going to be the last car. Yes, indeed. He's going to be the last car to finish here, as he was the only one ahead of our leaders.
Oh, here comes a slow Jacob Leon. He's going to make it past him. But Dennis Neidhart, I hope he has enough fuel for this. I mean,
I'm pretty sure he does.
Finish ahead of these guys, but yeah, I mean, what a drive from Dennis, and way to survive all of the chaos as well.
Win number 9 for Dennis Neidhart. A dominant championship season for this number 4 car. Victory here in West Virginia. That's going to take us to a quick break here on the Global Sim Racing channel. We'll come back with the official results as well as driver interviews. Stick around, because on screen, you'll see all the upcoming races here on GSRC. Welcome back to Summit Point. We just watched the season finale for the Kamel GT series, and it was Nick Mukanos who managed to take away the win. A little bit of luck in his favor, as the car who led most of this race, Fabian Gerber, unfortunately had contact a couple times. And unfortunately, it was with the same car each time. But it seems that Mukanos capitalized on it well and took the victory over Michael Houghton, who cruised to a second-place finish. Martin Krejcik was in P3, getting himself a nice podium. Laust Olsen, who was fighting with him all race long, just was not able to finish in those top 3 spots when all was said and done, but still a 4th is a good finish. Gerber slipped back to 5th with that damage. He was a full 4 seconds off the pace at the end of the race. Fabian Jungbluth with a nice P6 was followed by Aitor Sintes Guindo in at 7th, the last car on the lead lap as well. Jacob Leon was in P8 and Hideki Koivisto was 9th. Ryan Lang with a P10. And you've got Josh Gaiman in 11th, followed by Bronislav Robanek. Some early problems still didn't keep him from making it to the checkered flag. He was 12th, and Nicholas Weatherby was P13.
Dennis Neidhart takes the win in the GTOs, his 9th win this season. What a dominant season for him. Rob Olenek, though, put up some good fights early on, and he battled with Phil Lake towards the end there. Phil, unfortunately, getting into him and letting him by towards the end of that race. So Phil Lake coming home in 3rd. Then we have Ove Trengrade, who came home in the 4th position in the GTOs, with Yoni Hagner in 5th. Those two battling tooth and nail for most of the race. Antti Terho comes home in 6th position, with Jake Johansson and Alexander Veldman finally settling their battle for 7th and 8th. Nick Schmeck comes home in 9th position today, with Michael Haynes in 10th, and Yuri Giesen comes home in the 12th position.
Looks like as the rest on our timing and scoring here are all DNF'd, we have our leader ready to talk to us. Nick Mukanos going to be joining us here in the booth. And Nick, win number 2 this season. It seems we said that it was a little bit of luck, but you still did well to keep it on the track in the midst of all the cars that you were having to swerve through. What was it like from inside the cockpit?
Traffic was pretty crazy. I knew it was probably going to come down to traffic as long as I had decent pace. And I don't know. I was just trying to keep the car safe over everything. I noticed Fabian took a little damage, but it wasn't enough to negate the difference in pace. But eventually the patience paid off.
Certainly seem to have. Now, we said coming into this one that we expect usually some chaotic races here at Summit Point, but the championship was over, so it was just down to pride, at least with the fight for Fabian. Did you at all think about Laust Olsen and how close he was in points behind you, or was this basically down to this race and nothing else for you today?
No, yeah. Today, the main goal, I knew I couldn't catch Fabian. It was to not DNF or do something bad where the person behind could catch up. I was definitely eyeing loud.
Interesting. So you were paying attention. Well, it's another season wrapped up. We're getting ready to kick off a 13 one, and almost an endurance season that we've got coming up here for the Kamel GT series next season. Are you looking forward to having another go? See if maybe you could take it to Fabian next time around?
Yeah, I don't know. Him and Justin and Enrique are a little bit faster than me. So, yeah, maybe that'd be a good goal. Try to catch up with them next.
All right. Well, we'll keep an eye out for you. I think that you got a shot at it based on what we saw today. That was Nick Mukanos, our winner here in the GTP class. Up next, I do believe that we have a second place finisher, Phil, in and around third place finisher, Phil, in and around the lake, talking to Adam Lindgren.
Yeah, Phil, and very interesting final 2 laps for you and Rob. Talk me through that final corner. It looked like both of you guys were very loose coming off the exit.
Yeah, that was my fault. I was trying to get a good run off of the corner, and I just got 2 wheels on the grass on the inside and lost the car, caught it, lost it again, and just tagged Rob and put him up into the grass. So I thought I'd better slow down and race him for it at the end there. And he just held on. So it was good fun racing at the end.
But that being said, from starting from 5th position, you were able to survive quite a few crazy incidents that happened up ahead of you with some of your other competitors. Talk to me about the traffic today. How tough was it to hang on to the car and keep it clean?
Yeah, it was mostly okay, I think, from my point of view. A couple of moves. I think the only time the Nissans were really pushing their luck was when they were in battles, which is to be expected. Sometimes they're going to go for stuff they normally wouldn't, or they know they probably shouldn't. So just a couple of times I got surprised by some of the moves, but overall it was pretty clean.
Well, Phil, with a new build coming this next season, can we expect to see you around here next year as well?
Oh yeah, I'll be back again. I'm hoping we get the new tires. That'll be really cool. It might shake things up a little bit and get some new people up towards the front. So we'll see.
Make you have to build a new set for that Audi. Definitely.
Yeah.
All right, Phil. Well, thanks for talking to us, and good season this season. Hopefully we see you have some better luck next season and some better results as well. You've done a great job, though, with the luck that you've had in front of you, and we look forward to seeing you next season.
Yeah, thanks, guys. I'll see you there.
All right, that was Phil Lake, our third place finisher in the GTOs. And next up, we have Michael Houghton, who finished second in the GTPs with Joe.
Jackson is becoming a regular here in the interviews with lots of podiums, and I don't want to be a Debbie Downer here, but still lacking that win this season. You came so close so many times, and another second place. Is it bittersweet to be getting to talk to us again, Michael?
Nah, I feel lucky, to have finished the season with a good result. It's been an up and down, mixed bag so far. Some races I got taken out from the lead, and some races I wasn't fast enough. So mixed bag this season, but I'm happy to end it on second place.
So much was covered on that battle for the lead that we saw between Mukanos and Gerber. We really didn't look at you a whole lot this race. So, I mean, was it as chaotic for you trying to get through all the lapped GTO cars, or were you relatively calm back there?
It was pretty chaotic. Whenever you catch the main Audi train, the leaders, they race hard and they race pretty close to each other. So it's hard to find a gap where you could slip in and out, But other than that, pretty calm. I was trying not to do any crazy overtakes like Nick or Fabian. And unlucky for Fabian that he got wrecked out, but that's racing.
Yeah, well, we've been talking so much about next season. Obviously, there's a lot of content coming, but one thing I'm curious about that a lot of people are as well is that fabled European track. So if you have your fingers crossed for one track that you're hoping they're teasing us that is coming, which one are you hoping for?
I'm probably going to say Hockenheim.
Okay.
That would be a good one.
That would be a fun one. That is a historic track. Unfortunately, not the way it used to be, but still provides some good racing. Well, Michael, thanks for coming to talk to us one more time. Here's hoping that you can get that win next season.
Oh, thank you so much, guys. And yeehaw!
There we go, Michael Houghton. I love that tradition that has started here in these interviews with him. We're going to close out the season ourselves with a big thank you to the Kamel Series for bringing us back for another season of coverage. We are talking to them for another one coming through. We do expect that to happen, so looking forward to 13 races next time around. But thanks go out to the companies that provide the software and the hardware for our broadcast listed here on your screen. And additional thanks go to June Lalonde, who provides our wonderful music. See the screen for how to get a hold of more of her great work. Thanks to the team today, Adam, Sean, and Dougie. If you'd like to find out more about GSRC, including upcoming races, you can find it at globalsimracingchannel.com. You can also check out our social media on Twitter. It is at GSR Channel there. And then Facebook is Global Sim Racing Channel, and Instagram is GSRC_Graham. If you'd like to support us, check out our merchandise store at gsrc.storenv.com. We got a link in the description below. And while you're down there, make sure and subscribe. All you got to do to follow all of GSRC's races is click on the big red subscribe button. We'll be back, as we mentioned, hopefully on May 13th at 1 p.m. Eastern, but we have upcoming races, June 13th at 1 p.m. Eastern. We have upcoming races for other series listed on the screen, so check those out and mark them down on your calendar. Get ready for some more wild fun because we're taking the Jetta back onto rallycross tracks in just a couple hours once again. Until next time, race clean, race hard. See you on the track.